Hello. I'm only going to need a few minutes of your time and then I'll leave. Nod if you understand. Perfect. Resident Evil Code Veronica is one of my favorite Resident Evil games. No, I lied. It is my favorite Resident Evil game. That's the title of this video. I'm not going to argue why it's the best Resident Evil, nor am I going to provide a video essay on its elaborate story or history. Rather, I'm just going to ramble about why it's my favorite Resident Evil game of all time. And now that I'm surrounded by good company, I'm in a good place mentally to discuss the topics at hand. Shall we embark on this journey? That's okay. Your willingness and compliance is not a factor. Let's travel back in time to the year 2004. I was 8 years old or so, traveling 1,000 miles to the nearest Blockbuster store. It was less than a mile, but I'll lie and say that it was 1,000 miles, for dramatic purposes. This was my one opportunity of the week to rent a game of my choosing, so that I could stick my disc into my PS2 and escape the cold realities of life. Lo and behold, I found a game that caught my eye. Bold letters that spell Resident Evil. To my knowledge, all that I knew about Resident Evil prior was that it was the scariest game series known to man. So naturally, I decided to rent it. Little did I know just how foolish and life-changing this decision would be. Within moments of loading the game, I watched the intro sequence featuring Claire Redfield running for her life in an Umbrella research facility. The scene was filled with action, helicopters, and men. Before long, Claire Redfield found herself at the mercy of Rodrigo Juan Raval, an Umbrella Security Service employee. After an in-game cutscene where Rodrigo frees Claire from her prison cell, you, the player, are now in control of her fate. Having never been familiar with mechanics of survival horror games, I found myself in the element of the unknown, coupled with a cutscene of Claire nervously walking up the stairs. I knew I was in for spooky shenanigans. I told myself, that's okay. I picked up a knife. Within moments, we are greeted with the cutscene. An explosive cutscene. Out walks the first Resident Evil zombie I had ever seen. Skin burnt to a crisp, eyes devoid of life, and unforgettable moans. Soon, I found myself surrounded by more corpses that miraculously had been given a second chance of life. They took turns devouring my flesh, and who could blame them? 8-year-old me couldn't figure figure out how to equip a weapon. Try as I might, I was left defenseless, and soon I became overrun with the undead. This was single-handedly the scariest video game experience I had ever encountered. 8-year-old me didn't attempt to pick up this game again. What never left my mind was the face of the charred zombie. I had never encountered anything that looked remotely as scary, as unsettling. This was in part due to how little experienced I was with horror. I often shied away from anything that made me uncomfortable. The nightmares wouldn't have let me sleep. And now, neither would this charred zombie. Resident Evil was living up to its reputation of being the scariest game series known to man. For 2 years, I didn't touch the game again. I eventually returned it to Blockbuster. I hope the disc is okay, wherever it ended up after the store closed.